Yeah.
I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I'm gonna call this official data point show. Data point. Welcome to episode 186 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports, institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic program in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studio and sending a signal live to KCAH 1230 AM studio with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Ralph Cooper, we see you still doing your thing. Keep bringing it, checking you out off and on there. I see you got them all lathered up in so many different ways. We appreciate you sharing us in the airways of Houston. With that, we got the trophy, cigar day, but we're going to hold that on for a minute and let these fellas bring out their little trophy. They ain't really get into it on Sunday, so I'm going to give them another chance to show out a little bit on the trophy. But with that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THC Agency. THC Agency, a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that said, and folks that don't realize data analytics is nothing, as Mike said, it's just data points when you're talking about sports. With that being said, Mike, what's the HBCU news of the day for you? What you got?
Thank you, Dr. Cavil. And it is with the most profound sadness that officially, as of today, Prairie View A&M has become, I believe, the fourth team to move to a virtual homecoming platform. They sent out a letter to all of its alumni base and all of the other athletic programs. And the letter basically states that over the past several months, there's been a team to continuously assess the current public health landscape and look at this COVID-19 cases and look at the crisis rate and look at basically where we're going, at least in the last 2 or 3 months, projections, particularly in the greater Houston area. So in analyzing all the options, looking at all the safety measures, gathering all of the data points, it was decided to forego tailgating activities and proceed with a hybrid homecoming schedule. Now, we've seen other schools come with this hybrid homecoming activity. They did put out kind of a schedule, but it's nothing like the traditional Prairie View homecoming. A lot of alumni are not happy with this fact. They voiced it on various social media platforms, but we have to respect the decision, of not only the homecoming team or leadership team that is looking at this, but the administration. They're looking at, who is most at risk. What are those groups that are still lagging behind in terms of vaccination? So they had to consider a lot of things. In my regular job, I consider this. So I do, on the one hand, understand part of the decision, but it is not a happy day in Pantherland due to this announcement.
He said not a happy day. Mike is struggling. He kept it. He did. Charles, I'll say this before I go to you. You might want to make some room down in Jackson for your homecoming.
Yeah.
Many of your fraternity brothers may find a way to partake in your activities, and Prairie was already scheduled to go to Southern for their homecoming. So for those Southern folks out there, they may need to do their stuff as well.
You know what? This is right here. Right here.
Are those Jackson State shot glasses?
Make room. I'm bringing shot glasses.
Oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good.
Before
I go to you, Charles, let me get some shout out to the people. Oh, you had something to say, Charles? Go ahead.
Oh no, you know what? We welcome all. We welcome all over there at Jackson State for our homecoming. And check this out. I know everybody talks about their homecomings to death, but come on over. You'll see what time it is.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I might even sneak up there since the other half, the better half has Alabama A&M homecoming. Jackson go down there. You might find me in Huntsville celebrating the homecoming. Doing everybody else's homecoming. How about that?
That's interesting though. This is the first SWAC school that has made that announcement with regards to their homecoming. So
yep.
Great point. And you got a game Thursday. We'll get a little more in that. You might see us do something special. Stick around. We might find a way to sneak down and see if we can do something outside the studios. We'll see. Ricky Burton, Donald Walton, Noel Price, Jalen Riley, Ricky Burton in the house, Demetrius Hargret. Ricky Burton, we're not going to give you a hard time. We appreciate you. We're better than that. We're better than that. Jason Thornton, Mary Allen says, hello, everyone. Michael Ford is in the house. Karen Griffin, lab time. That's right, no doubt. George Suggs is in the house. Willie Alex Hines, CIAA representing. It goes down. We got some good matchups this weekend, man. I'm excited about the matchup, the data points that will take place. In a lot of ways, this is, the third and fourth game. So, on the academic side, college athletes, their academic advisors, they running around there and getting their student evaluation reports, those third, fourth week reports. So we might have to look at some reports as we're going through the show and see what you're reporting on your team. Willie Mack, Donald Walton, as I said. Who else on here bringing it hot and heavy? Kay Johnson is always in the house. What's up, Kay? Where we got? James Knox bringing it hard and heavy. G. Boone Holly's in here. Lawrence T. White. Keep it coming. Troy Lamont Coleman. There we go. With that being said, Varick Williams, he's ready to go Jags. All right.
Look at the Jags. All right, Jags.
Dr. Holmes, yeah, they came back after the win. I ain't see him last week. Now, Varick better than he always stick his head win or loss. He going to be there. And he had far more wins and losses over the years, last couple of years as a Southern fan. So, no doubt. Trudy Jackson. With that being said, let me go to Charles without belaboring the point. What news you got out there?
Yeah, let's start off. Let's recognize these players of the week. We're going to start over in the SIAC this week as Michael Huntley of Lane. He was the offensive player of the week. Stephen Pierre of Albany State, he earned the defensive player of the week. And Tyler Moore was tabbed the special teams player of the week. And Emmanuel Wilson from Fort Valley State, he was the newcomer of the week. Let's take a look at the offensive side of the ball for the SIAC. Michael Huntley from Lane, 14 of 21, 325 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 45-35 win over Edward Waters. Stephen Pierre from Albany State, the linebacker. He led the Golden Rams defense. Albany, you're right. To a shutout of the Clark Atlanta Panthers. He garnered 9 solo tackles and leading the ASU defense. Tyler Moore, special teams player of the week, with 1 score up. He punted down to Allen punted from his own 13-yard line where he rushed off the right side and blocked the punt for Fort Valley State, Tyler Moore. And the newcomer, Emmanuel Wilson from Fort Valley State, the running back, freshman in his first action of the season, a transfer, rushed 11 times for an average of 7.5 yards per carry, 83 yards and 2 touchdowns as he put Fort Valley up for good with a 32-yard touchdown with 8:40 left in the second quarter, and it was a boat race from there. So kudos to those players for their offensive player, defensive player, newcomer, and special teams player of the week in the SIAC.
Yes, I like it. Shout out to Eric Evans as you talking about the SIAC. He says, "Go ASU Rams, Miles, lowercase Miles. You on the clock." Ooh, that's like see in the house talking mess.
Somebody.
No doubt, somebody said it. Mike, what else you got? What else you got?
Oh man, we got so much news. You know what? In light of that news, can I talk MEAC a little bit?
Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead and talk some MEAC. Jump on.
Yeah,
Give the MEAC some love.
You gotta show the MEAC some love. So their players of the week was it Antonio Hamilton? No, I'm sorry, wrong announcement.
Who you got? Who do you want to go with?
I got you for SWAC players of the week till you pull them up.
Yep.
Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, SWAC players of the week. Let's take a look at the SWAC players of the week. On the offensive side of the ball, we start with Felix Harper, 16 of 32 for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns as he helped the Braves rally from 19 points down to overtake the UAPB Golden Lions. Huge game for Alcorn's Felix Harper, 16 of 32, 368 yards. Defensive player of the week. Let's stay with the Braves. Defensive player of the week was Kieran Kinsler. He contributed 12 tackles. That was a game high, including 8 solo tackles and 2.5 tackles for a loss. Specialist of the week. Let's come over here to Houston. It was Texas Southern. Had a kicker, Richard Garcia III. He went 3 of 3 on extra points attempts. And he also connected a 45 and 25 yards for his field goals as he contributed 9 points in Texas Southern's non-conference road outing at Rice. And the newcomer of the week stayed with TSU, Andrew Body. He passed for 353 yards, 19 of 35 in his first career start for the Texas Southern Tigers at Rice. And he also led TSU in rushing with 62 yards on 16 carries while contributing 2 rushing touchdowns. So those were your players of the week in the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Right. Known as the SWAC. I see you. TSU find a quarterback?
I think they found themselves a quarterback. Look at that.
I think they found one.
Hey, we might have a homecoming win for Texas Southern coming up on that.
I don't know if I go that.
Ooh, look at that. It is their homecoming week. It'd be a good time to have it. With that being said, Michael Ford says he's excited about JSU Alabama A&M Gulf Coast Classic 2022 and 2024.
Yep.
Nice. With that being said, Mike, you got it for us? What you got?
Yeah, I got you. So North Carolina Central wide receiver Ryan McDaniel was named the MEAC Offensive Player of the Week, presented by Coca-Cola, of course. Howard defensive back Aaron Walker was named Defensive Player of the Week. And Norfolk State running back J.J. Davis was named Rookie of the Week. So Norfolk State's Justin Reed was named Offensive Lineman of the Week. So if we go back to McDaniel, he racked up a career-high 178 receiving yards on 9 catches against North Carolina A&T, including a 77-yard touchdown. His 178 receiving yards are the most for an Eagle in a single game since 2017. And of course, Walker, Defensive Player of the Week, DB, 5'10", set a new season high in tackles at Robert Morris with 8 tackles, including 7 solo stops. So kudos to them. One last, J.J. Davis, running back, rushed 14 times for 93 yards in the Spartans' 28-16 comeback win over St. Francis, while also recording 23 receiving yards and 34 kickoff return yards for a total of 115 all-purpose yards. He was on it, doing a thing. I mean, every other play was Davis. So congratulations to those players of the MEAC. Other top players, honorable mentions, Antoine Murray from Howard had 5 catches for 88 yards against Robert Morris, and Jawan Carter for Norfolk State accounted for 3 touchdowns, 2 passing and 1 rushing against St. Francis. So big weekend for Norfolk State.
Yes, good job. Norfolk State is round and round. Be careful. Everybody whisper out South Carolina State that Norfolk State is quietly sneaking around the chicken coop, as they say around these parts. Shout out, as you talking about some of these players, G-Boom Holly added, Prairie View A&M's Jason Dumas selected Texas College Player of the Week by Texas Football Life. That's pretty big. He had a great game as he got it done. Defenses showed up in the State Fair Classic down there. Great thing. Roderick adds in his part. Houston, TSU don't have a problem at quarterback anymore. This is a little bit off the radar. This is not necessarily directly related to HBCUs, but it's a good point. We've kind of picked this up a couple of weeks ago, but some questions out there. Murray State leaving the OVC. If that is the question, Michael Ford says, will the OVC still be relevant? As Charles said, good question as he responds. Way to get out there and get those responses going and keeping these folks interactive as we like to do it. Great point, great question. And I add that because you got the Tennessee State. We keep fooling around with this stuff, and I'm not sure which one is going to go in flames first, if that's the way we want to look at it, or implode, the OVC or the Southland. Rumor out there that McNeese State was just in Las Vegas talking to the WAC, but they responded, made a move. You're hearing Texas A&M Commerce made the announcement today that they're moving up to Division I at the FCS level, and they're joining the Southland. 4-year period. So can they do enough if McNeese leaves to still be a conference, particularly in football with the automatic bid? And so, man, conference churning is amongst us as we look at the top of the plate. With that being said, before we get to a break, extend this just a little bit. I do want to get in this. I think this is interesting. SWAC leading several FBS, FCS conferences in NIL contracts and activities. This is from SI.com. SWAC student athletes are capitalizing on the NIL contracts. Jackson State Shador Sanders, son of head coach Prime Deion Sanders, officially signed a lucrative NIL deal with Beats by Dre last week. I interviewed UAB's massive offensive lineman Mark Evans II regarding his new NIL with Denny's. Evans was one of the 4 offensive linemen and the only HBCU player in the country selected for Denny's All Pancakers teams. FAMU, Alabama A&M Glass, Savion Moore, Gary Quarles have inked NIL contracts. Lincoln, Nebraska company Open Doors assists collegiate and professional athletes by providing technology to athletes endorsement industry, end quote. The firm has partnered with major athletic organizations and unions. So I thought that was pretty big when you talk about uniquely the SWAC student athletes compensation demonstrates the financial power of HBCUs have for potential sponsors. SWAC deals were more lucrative than prominent in larger FBS and FCS conferences like Sunbelt, Ivy League, WAC, and MAAC, to name a few. So it's interesting when you talk about that. Open Doors share the college football has remained #1 in total compensation at 60.1%, and the number of activities is 37.9%. And again, this is courtesy of SI.com. Fascinating when you talk about HBCUs, and we said this could be a game changer for HBCUs in the NIL in a lot of ways, just because of the way that HBCUs do business, and we understand the marketplace they have in the African-American community. With that being said, let's go ahead and take this first break. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Stick with us because we'll be right back, because I know you want to know what is up with the poll rankings. We're about to give it to you. Stay with us. We'll be right back to see what these gentlemen say about my poll ranking.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Yes, we're back into it. Let's get in these poll rankings. We'll start with the mid-major. And we got some changes in the poll rankings. They're in the lower half, so not a lot of changes at the top. But just so you know, we do have two teams that dropped out of this week. They debuted last week. Neither one of them, well, one of them didn't play, and the other one did play, and they lost. So Allen Yellow Jackets, Bluefield State, Big Blue, dropped out of the top 10. But they got some love. They got in there. Jumping in the polls, Miles Golden Bears, after they even overall in the season 2-2, 1-0 in the conference race with a huge win. And Fort Valley State Wildcats, 2-2, not ranked. And they'll get in and make it interesting with some top 10 matchups coming up this week. We'll talk about that a little later, second half of the show. But as we're getting into it and move forward, let's get in the top where the business really gets interesting. We got Lane Dragons. They jumped in top 5, moving up one spot for number 6. So they're on the move. Surprising a lot of folks on the year. They're 3-1, 1-0 in the conference race, 66 points. They continue to get it done. At number 4, Albany State Golden Rams, not surprising anybody, really. 3-1, 1-0. They remain at number 4, and you'll see that refrain going throughout the rest of the top 3, where we have Savannah State Tigers, 3-1, 2-0 all wall, 74 points to reign in the 3rd spot. Number 2, Bowie State Bulldogs, 3-1, 1-0, 4th first place folks, 76 points, 2 staying at the 2 spot. And number 1 is Langston Lions, 4-0 on the season, 3-0. Dragging people as they get it done. It's close between Bowie State 1 and 2. Can Bowie State continue to creep up on the Langston Lions, or will Langston find a way to hang on as they continue to get it done? It's interesting. 94 points for the first place team there. Let me go to you, Mike, in terms of what are your thoughts in terms of the mid-major top 10, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Huddle Report.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of Langston being number 1, but you can't deny they're undefeated. They play the schedule they're given. I think if you look pound for pound, Savannah State, if you look at the offensive spread they put out, strength of schedule. I know you can count that. Don't preach to me. Don't say nothing to me. But I look at strength of schedule, and I wonder if, to be honest, if Savannah State should not be a little further than they are in the polls. And I see Bowie State. You know, they've packed up, you know, some impressive win. You know, with this last one, 49-0 over at Livingston. Of course, they took care of business at New Haven. You can't rule Bowie State out. So Langston is undefeated, but their strength of schedule, you know, 3 of their teams. I don't, if you're comparing strength of schedule to strength of schedule, I don't know if they're number 1.
Man, he don't believe in my Langston Lions. I told
No,
y'all need to just because they're out there in the West Coast and Oklahoma, middle of nowhere playing NIL football, get these folks their respect. With that being said, great points, Mike. I understand. You're right. Elijah Ray says, I told you about Lane. He said he told you about Lane. Lane, real deal. They getting it done playing some football. With that being said, let me go to Mike. Let me go to Charles and see what he thinks about mid-major top poll rankings.
You know, looking up and down this poll ranking, this SIAC East, this is going to be some fun stuff. Savannah State, Albany State, and Fort Valley, and Benedict, they are all bunch right in the standings together in the SIAC. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You know, pretty much in the SIAC West, it's pretty much Miles and Lane, but Lane is that surprise team. Well, it shouldn't really be a surprise because they have some guys that were preseason all SIAC, especially from the defensive side of the ball. But Michael Huntley really coming on as Lane's quarterback, 325 yards this past week. But Miles and Lane fighting it out over there in the SIAC West. Tuskegee, a really strong performance. Didn't see that coming against Alabama A&M, but we got a little football over in the SIAC. Looks fun.
Man, Michael Ford is all over it, giving breaking news. I'm gonna get back to that. But Charles, yeah, you're right, man. Let me have my fun in the sun in terms of my poll rankings. We'll get into the major and really see what you think. But the points made. Michael Forrestal Belmont just announced that it's gone, leaving the OVC, joining the Missouri Valley Conference. What now? Tennessee State is the question.
What?
Oh, it's getting interesting real quick.
Hold on. The basketball school now? Uh-oh.
Yeah, basketball school.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Is the what you say. Ooh, ooh. Well, let's get to the major division poll, and we'll get back into a little bit of that discussion later, as it's getting interesting all over the world. We have 3 teams that dropped out of the top 10, 1 out of the top 5. So I will tell you the teams dropping out this week. Grambling State Tigers drop out 1-3 after the loss in the State Fair Classic. Tennessee State drops out after their loss in the OVC opener, 1-3 on the season, 0-1. North Carolina Central, as they got drugged, they're 2-1. They fall out. We had this discussion on Sunday. Would they fall out? I think all but except for one said they should fall out. But officially, in terms of Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU poll rankings, they're gone. We'll see if they can bounce back and get back in the poll rankings. Have a big matchup, MEAC SWAC challenge type matchup. They go to Mississippi Valley, but that is for homecoming. Should be interesting. So who jumps in the top 10? North Carolina A&T, the drubbing they did to North Carolina Central, told everybody. They're 1-2. The 3 teams at 1-2 to jump into the poll. We'll see what everybody thinks about that. North Carolina jumps in the poll at number 9. Alabama State Hornets, after their impressive win over Bethune-Cookman, they jump in the poll also. They jump all the way up to number 7. They're 2-1, 1-0. They have a big conference matchup as they go on the road as Florida A&M has their SWAC home opener against Alabama State, their closest SWAC institution to them. So it'll be interesting. I'm hearing a lot of Alabama State folks getting on the buses, coming out of Atlanta, South Alabama. They coming in there and they say there's a lot already in the Panhandle. So that should be one interesting matchup. It's not on one of the ESPN networks, so got to see if they're going to broadcast it in that area. Get into the top 5. Alcorn State Braves, they move up 2 spots after their impressive comeback from behind victory over Pine Bluff. 59 points, 2-2 on the season, 1-0. Everybody thought they could put dirt on the Braves. Well, it looks like they've woken up again. Number 4, Norfolk State Spartans. They were not ranked, and they jumped all the way up to number 2. Non-conference FCS victory, 2-2 on the season, 2 straight wins. They have a big game this week against Hampton, who's just outside of the top 10 receiving votes. We'll get a chance to talk about that this week. Also, you have Prairie View A&M. They jump up 1 spot, 3-1, 2-0 after they defeated Grambling. That's 4 straight in the State Fair Classic. A lot of Grambling fans G-men are not happy about it. They earn 1 first-place vote. Can they make a difference? Does it make sense? Jackson State Tigers 3-1, 1-0. Nice win out of conference. Delta State, Division II top 20 type team. State rivalry. No FCS historically white colleges in that area, so they tend to get a lot of talent there. 105 points. Still Division II, but they get it done. Alabama A&M goes against a rival Division II SIAC team in Tuskegee. Closer than some people thought. They get it done as they move up and continue to stay undefeated. 1-0 in the conference, 3-0 overall, 10 first place votes, 170 points. Let me stick with you, Charles. What are your thoughts on major division top 10 poll rank?
I like this poll. I like this poll this week. Hampton being in there, that's going to be one heck of showdown with Norfolk State, the Battle of the Bay. When you take a look at Hampton's quarterback, Jet Duffy. He's had a heck of a showing thus far. He already put up 300 on Howard earlier. can Norfolk State's DBs hang with Jet Duffy, the Jada Kiss Bonds? I love that I love that name. Best name in college football, Jada Kiss Bonds. So it'll be a very, very interesting game with Howard and Norfolk State. Norfolk State, they are hitting on all cylinders with Pootie Carter at quarterback, and that Dawson Odom's influence. Hi Southern. But I tell you what, Dawson Odom he's brought a little something to that Norfolk State team.
No doubt about it. I like the way you said in your famous words. Yes, they bringing it over there. Elijah says his top 3 teams: Alabama A&M, Alcorn, UAPB. Give me your top 3. Let me know what your thoughts are, as I also get Mike's top thoughts on the top 10. With that being said, Fred Whitted jumps in there. Zip Gales is not at Langston anymore. I love it. Give some of that history, as he does with the HBCU Black College Football Encyclopedia. Mary Allen says Tallahassee will be rocked this weekend in Alabama State versus Florida A&M. No doubt about that for sure. Michael, what are your thoughts on major division top 10? Tell me what you think. Make me proud, man.
You know what? I can't even say nothing. I actually like the poll, with the exception at Norfolk State.
Let it rock. Let it be said.
I do like that poll.
Finally, I got a weekend where both of them say, not too bad, not too bad, sir.
Alcorn State, they suffered a loss at the beginning of the season. They have Mississippi Valley, they got Grambling, and I forget who else. Those are teams they can easily win, so they can go 3-0. And remember, we had some of the prognosticators that said, "Oh, Alcorn State's done." Well, you look at what they did against UAPB in the second half. That coaching change. And you look at how we rank teams. It's not just about the personnel. It's also about the coaching. And you look at the coaching change that was made in the second half and moving the pocket with Felix Harper. They are still for real. They are a factor to be dealt with. So for the next 3 games, they could conceivably go 3-0. So I think they should be in the top 5 per review. Jawan Buss has proved that he was hitting his receivers. I think they had 14, 15 yards per pass. If you look at the stats, which came out late, but that's another story, neither here nor there. But if you look at the stats, 14, 15 yards per pass, he was catching his receivers. And, he's starting to get more involved in that offense. So, Dr. Cavil, I like your top 5. There's nothing wrong, no stones I can throw at this one.
I appreciate that, Mike. Man, I told you on it today. I'm going to take every word I said about you back, man. Kay Johnson says, Charles, do not put down that hoodie. Oh, no, that's not what she said. Let me be nice. She said, Charles Bishop, I need that hoodie. Love it. George Suggs, South Carolina State will roll against Bethune-Cookman, BCU for the first win. Bulldogs find their defense. It'll be interesting there. Charles Bishop does return and says, I love it too. He's trying to get it up. Michael Ford, Alabama A&M, PVAMU. This is a good one, Lawrence D. White. Wouldn't it be great if PVAMU GSU State Fair Classic Cotton Bowl Dallas would be on ESPNU, open for discussion? We don't have to discuss that. We're all in favor of that. I can tell you this, that the SWAC office is looking into that. Don't be surprised moving forward if that happens. Right now, the promoter has a stranglehold and hasn't allowed that to happen. With that, let's go into this break so we can come back and talk about some of these matchups, give you some of the major division games of the week. And then the last part of the show, we'll get into the major games of the week. Starting with the mid-major, then we'll go into major games of the week. And we got some good ones, both that we'll be discussing too, and follow up with even some better games on Thursday. Then they'll have the pick'em segment. This gets interesting when they'll do that. So stick with us today and Thursday as we get it going. Let's get into the break. Dr. Bill's Inside the Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Come on back as we get into the third quarter. It's getting good.
shot.
One enemy remaining.
And tonight's winning numbers are 18, 55, 39, 71, and 43.
43?
Those numbers again.
We won! Yes!
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
I'll hold on to that.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Pressure analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, as they're sitting in the cut in their home studios. Time to get into some of the games of the week. Let's start with the CIAA. It's interesting. Check this out. Richmond, Virginia, Saturday, October the 2nd, as you know, high noon. CIAA matchup. We're going to get the Northern Division against the Southern Division. Shaw Bears come in at 2-2, 1-0 in the conference. At Virginia Union Panthers, as you know, 2-2 also overall, 1-0 in the conference. So somebody is going to get the edge in terms of continuing to be able to chase those predictive front runners, which is in the Northern Division, Bowie State. In the Southern Division, it'd be Fairfield State. So both of these teams need this victory. I think this is one of those games, if you're not paying attention to, might catch you off guard. This is a big game. Let me start with you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
North until you prove me different. I'm going to go with the North team. I think that's the stronger half of the conference, especially when you take a look at Chowan, Bowie, Virginia Union. Chowan, my goodness, they've jumped out 4-0 thus far on the season. Bowie, of course, 3-1. But until I'm proven different, I got to go with the CIAA North.
Great points when you say it there, when you look at it. Big matchup, playing some good football. But let me go to Mike and see what your thoughts in terms of this Shaw versus Virginia Union matchup.
Yeah, I agree. For that reason, you got to go with the North, but you also got to go with the number 3 offense in the conference and the number 3 defense in the conference in Virginia Union. So as CB says, until you prove me wrong, show me, put it on the table. So I got to go with Virginia Union.
What they say, you wasn't born in Missouri, but you like the idea. Show me state. State of mind. State of mind. Both of you brothers said, show me. Well, let's dip down a little south. Let's go in the SIAC mid-major division. Gets real interesting here. Staying in Fairfield, Alabama. Sloan Alumni Stadium. You saw what Miles did in the last time they stayed at home. But this is a top 10 matchup, so it really gets good. This is number 4, Albany State Golden Rams hitting the road, 1-2 overall, 1-0 in the conference race. Number 7, Miles Golden Bears, 2-2 overall, also 1-0 in the conference race. You see the theme I'm getting here. Both of these games, including this one, have both teams starting out 1-0 in the conference race. This is another example of one division against the other division, interdivisional matchup. You have Albany State from the east, Miles Golden Bears from the west. Let me stick with you, Mike Washington, since you're on the west side of things. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Woo, man. I gotta go with Miles on this one. I mean, if you look at where they've come to, how they performed to this number 3 in total offense, 361 yards per game. I mean, scoring offense, Miles, 25 points per game. So Albany State's somewhere down at number 6 and number 7. They have a stronger defense, but it's going to be a battle of offense against defense. But I think in this one, I've got to pick Miles coming out on top.
Oh, boy, I tell you. Charles, some people say this could be a preview of the SIAC championship game.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this matchup? You think
preview,
so, Mike?
A preview of the SIAC championship game, huh?
Yes.
What some are saying, what are your thoughts? They just leaving Savannah State out there. They were picked early to get it done, but, I guess because of their performance early, some people are looking over them. Obviously, Albany State had that big early non-conference win, so I think people are excited about that. But with that being said, I want you to dig in there, and I want you to tell me, what are your thoughts?
I like Miles as being the more gritty team. This is going to be a tough matchup. Albany State is a heck of a matchup with Miles, but I just like Reggie Ruffin, and I like Miles. I especially like him at home. Get a little home cooking over there in Fairfield. So I'm looking for the Miles Bears, Golden Bears, to pull this one out.
Before we go to this break, I get this one in here. George Suggs brings the statement of the day. Don't be surprised if Tennessee State turns east and joins the MEAC. That would be interesting.
Stephen Gates would say, and what? Stephen Gates would say, why would they drive to Delaware?
Steve Gates, you got a point well taken. I just thought it was entertaining, so I shot it out there. G Boom Holly says Stephen Gates, exactly. So I don't think people are feeling too excited about Tennessee State and MEAC in terms of that Delaware State trip. But hey, I'm just saying it's out there. With that, getting into it, let me get back into some of these thoughts, man. I like what people, lab lecture listeners are doing. I agree. Can't see Tennessee State making the choice at all. Sherman Miller is joined. Steve Gertha says TSU has more rivals in the SWAC, pretty obvious. FSU should have handled TSU. Charles getting in there, giving some updates as he's getting it done. Eric Evans is still in the house. Steve Gaither says, true, VSU is looking weak this year. He's out there. He knows all inside and out of CIAA. Give your stuff, give some updates from Steve Gaither. We got to bring him back in for a midpoint analysis. We'll do that in a couple of weeks. Make sure we get Stephen Gaither back in here. Last statement for Stephen, only advantage to TSU in the MEAC is a bigger celebration bowl cut. Good point. And they can get there maybe a little easier in the MEAC than in SWAC, but that's a whole different discussion. Don't let me get ugly and twist your arms. He says Delaware State will join the Colonial Conference. So that means if that's the case, they sure better get Tennessee State. They're going to be like OVC on the South and struggling. We'll see that. I'm not sure if we'll get too much movement out of the HBCUs at this point, but I'm fascinated to see conference churning. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump in here and take our next break, and then we'll come back with some major division games of the week. This is Dr. Ville with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Keep the comments flowing. Great talk out there on the ledge. Might bring that segment back real quick before we get in this break. Grambling, Charles, as you said it many moons ago, get off the ledge. Get off the ledge. Grambling need to get off the ledge. They can't get it done this week at home in Alabama A&M, man.
It's ledge time. Yeah.
Bethune-Cookman against South Carolina State. Ledge time.
Ooh,
Who else on the ledge? Who else on the ledge?
I know Bethune-Cookman and Grambling, they definitely on the ledge this weekend.
Yeah.
Boy, they gonna have some fight about themselves.
Yeah, you got to say Grambling. They on the ledge. They as a matter of fact, they got 1 foot off. Let's be honest.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU.
Whoa, fam, you might be on the ledge too if they drop one to Bama State. So hey.
Data points. This is Dr.
I think FAMU has a couple more data points before they go on the ledge.
Okay.
Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's come back after this quick break.
Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Coles Brown Show and Black College Sports Network, online at www.mybcsn.net, and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Dr. Cavil's inside HBCU Sports Lab. Charles snuck in there as he trolling folks. He said, UAPB, they can't get it done Thursday. He said they'll be on the ledge too. Oh,
and
wow.
you know who's gonna be disappointed about that? Southern didn't want them on the ledge till they got to till they played Southern. I know Southern Jazz fans.
The problem with that thought process is you better be careful what you're thinking about. Just because they on the ledge don't mean they can't push you off the ledge with them, because they can be grabbing you. So
that's true.
Be careful with your
That's true.
With that being said, let's get back into it. Let's get into the MEAC game of the week. Then we'll get into the SWAC game of the week. I like this MEAC game of the week. It's a old-fashioned cat and dog fight. It happens to be what previous was a MEAC game of the week. Now it's a SWAC MEAC de facto challenge, if you would. Teams are both winless, so it is extremely important for both these teams to get off the ledge. Because another team that might be on the ledge that we didn't mention is South Carolina State, being 0-3. Bethune-Cookman Wildcats are 0-4, 0-1 in the conference race, obviously. South Carolina State hasn't played a conference game. But if Hugh said it openly on the MEAC Monday in terms of his interview, and said, hey, we were picked, and if we want to do something in the conference, we can't just keep losing these games and think we'll be able to turn it on. So he's looking the fact that he wants to get it right. They are at home, but this has traditionally been a game where it just goes back and forth. I'm going to start with you, Mike. What are your thoughts on this Bethune-Cookman matchup against South Carolina State? Big matchup because it features a SWAC MEAC game, and there's another one that we'll talk about on Thursday before I let you dive into that, which is North Carolina Central trying to rebound from the beatdown from North Carolina A&T as they travel to Mississippi Valley State. They played a solid game, particularly offensively against Southern, and it's Valley's homecoming. That's an interesting matchup to me in so many different ways. Big weekend for the MEAC and the SWAC in terms of this matchup, non-conference wise, to make some early data points. Mike, what are your thoughts, particularly on this matchup?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Bethune's got to travel to Orangeburg. It's a high noon game. This is not the same South Carolina State that gave up 1 billion points to Alabama A&M in the spring. This is a South Carolina State that played Alabama A&M really tough and put some points on the board. So this is going to be tit for tat. So, can the Bethune offense do what they did at least against Alabama A&M? That game could have went either way. They played Alabama A&M tough. And can they do that against South Carolina State on the road in Orangeburg, South Carolina at high noon on the year our Lord, October 2nd? October 2nd, what is it? I don't know that. So you wonder if the edge goes to South Carolina State. But for me, I think this is an edge game for Bethune, without question.
Interesting.
Yeah, great points made there. This game is 12:30, ESPN 3 or ESPN Plus. With that being said, let me shift to Charles and get his thoughts on this matchup.
South Carolina State, let's be honest, they played a pretty tough schedule. When you start out with the HBCU national champion, Alabama A&M Bulldogs, then you play two FBS schools, Clemson and New Mexico State. It's been a tough road for South Carolina State. I think that has battle tested them. And I think they'll be ready for Bethune-Cookman. Corey Fields is only completing 54% of his passes. He's also South Carolina State's leading rusher. I expect them to work out the kinks. They scored quite a bit of points, 35 points on the FBS opponent in New Mexico State. So you got to look for those guys to really get on track. And at South Carolina State, traditionally, they bring defense. I expect for them to really clamp down on Bethune-Cookman in this game and show who they really are, because I think they are a championship-level program.
Point well taken. Let's shift over to the SWAC major division game of the week. It features, similarly like we just talked about, what would have been a MEAC SWAC challenge is now a conference game. Teams closest to each other in terms of geographic vicinity are interesting. This is a SWAC game featured that we're looking to see if it'll be televised. At this point, it's not on ESPN. It's in Tallahassee, Florida. Is a debut in terms of the FAMU's first home SWAC game at Bragg Memorial Stadium that was renovated. It's a top 10 match. You have number 7 Alabama State Hornets 2-1, 1-0 after a big win against Cookman. On the road at number 8 Florida A&M Rattlers 1-2, 0-1 in the conference. That opening season loss to Jackson State haunts them to this day in many people's minds. But they had a open week this past weekend. So now they get a chance to see if they can make a statement against the Hornets, who are feeling good about themselves. Let me stick with you, Mike. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Again, before you do that, we'll give our scoring updates and mass framework of these games. We'll do that on Thursday as we break down 4 other games. So get into your analysis without giving your pick at this time.
Woo, Tallahassee.
It will be rocky. We can say that.
Tallahassee.
Alabama State is bringing their band. So.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So next week we'll have a winner and loser not only of the game, but we'll also have a winner loser of the battle of the band in terms of the halftime, 5th quarter, 0 quarter. They do all that kind of stuff. But back on the field in terms of the football matchup, Mike, go ahead and finish it up.
Yeah, you still kind of have to give the home field advantage to FAMU, even though this will be a tough game. You mentioned that Alabama State's coming off of a quality win, but again, Alabama State is still number 8 in the conference in total offense. Can they put points against the board, or can they match points for points with this FAMU team, who has a very good defense? So I don't know. You got to give the edge, but this will be a tough one. I can see the FAMU fans chirping, and if FAMU should happen to lose this one at home, now you're talking about a FAMU team that may be on the ledge as well.
Hey, call these folks on the ledge. Charles, you have to get your backup speech. Get off the ledge. But before you do that, go ahead and talk about this matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be an old-fashioned slugfest. I mean, you have 2 really, really good defenses in this game. What jumped out at me with Alabama State, we saw Keyshawn Bird for Bethune-Cookman run all through Alabama A&M the week before. Alabama State snuffed out that run this past week. So I think the leading rusher for Bethune-Cookman only had 22 yards, and that was Jimmy Robinson. So this is going to be a slugfest. Which team can get that running game up and going, or if they can get that running game up and going? We still have not seen Ezra Gray really pop like we know he can pop. And so I'm going to be looking to see, can that 1-2 punch of Ja'Cory Merritt and Ezra Gray really get off and against this Florida A&M front seven, which is, I think, one of the top defenses in the SWAC, right behind Jackson State. So this is going to be one heck of a slugfest. We know Christian Clark, he's going to plug things up in the middle there for Alabama State. You might have to rely on the passing game, and that's when guys get to flying and coming after you, and they can dial up that extra pressures and whatnot. What can Ryan Nettles do? Has Florida A&M finally solved whatever they have at quarterback and can go definitively with a quarterback there? So should be a very interesting matchup, but I'm almost leaning towards Alabama State, Nelson. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
it's a lean. It's a lean. We'll see. We'll see. We don't want you to give up too much of the ghost before we get there on Thursday. But early lean, we'll see if he sticks with it and pulls over it, and like you said, really put some folks on the edge. For real. But that'll do it for us today. Great comments from the lab lecturers out there. Let's keep it going. We'll get in here after the show and do some dialogue and give you some updates. A lot of good comments coming in about what's going on in terms of the FCA landscape. HBCUs, both the Division II and HBCUs. With that, before we go out of the show, we did have trophy games this weekend. SlowBurnWaco.com. SlowBurnWaco.com. Let me give a shout out. Make sure y'all get those cigars. You can hold them up, courtesy of www.slowburnwaco.com. Go check out these cigars. These folks here. Mike, your trophy cigar goes for the State Fair Classic, I believe. Is that what you're holding it up for?
Oh, most definitely. Absolutely. Goes to Prairie View A&M. You know, putting up Jawan Pass, according to the unofficial statistic, 400+ yards, you know, playing the defensive game that they did, allowing Grambling, 10 first downs to 21 first downs. Total domination on both sides of the ball. So mine goes to Prairie View A&M.
Charles, I see you have your cigar up too.
I got mine as well.
SlowBurnWaco.com. Yeah, the WC Gordon Classic. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was a tough game. It was a tough game for Jackson State. Delta State, kudos to them. They were down 17-0 at halftime and fought back to make that game tremendously close. Jackson State had to have a last-second stop with Delta State in the red zone, but that was a quality team they played. I know a lot of people say Division II, but that's a top 25 Division II team and a team that has a national championship on their resume. They are very well coached, very disciplined, and they did what they had to do to really shut down Jackson State's offense in the second half of that game. But to the victor go the spoils. I'll take my cigar and run.
I know that's right. That's exactly what you do when you get those chance. Take it and move it on, as they say. That'll do it for us. Thank you for listening to Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and our colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We hope you enjoyed the show. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. Join us again Thursday. We'll have a nice one. We'll be on the road, it looks like. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Don't be surprised if we get a little bit of that hashtag Sweet Life. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you download the app, My JBN, My BCSN. Check out the website, My BCSN, as we continue to get it done, give you the latest. Check out all the shows that we give you about HBCU news and more. Dream big and continue to move forward. Make sure you check us out on Sunday as we do our recap. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
Dismiss.